In this section, let's understand how to use the format method for formatting strings. The string format method formats the given string into a nicer output in Python. Python's format method of the string class allows you to do variable substitutions and value formatting. Python's format method also lets you concatenate elements together within a string through positional formatting. The format method that is available with the string object is very versatile and powerful in formatting strings. Format strings contains curly braces as placeholders or replacement fields which gets replaced. We can use positional arguments or keyword arguments to specify the order. Formatters work by putting in one or more replacement fields or placeholders defined by a pair of curly braces into a string and calling the format method. You will pass into the method that value you want to concatenate with a string. This value will be passed through in the same place that your placeholder is positioned when you run the program. So this is the syntax for format method. Here in this syntax, P0, P1 are positional arguments and K0, K1 are keyword arguments with values V0 and V1 respectively. Positional arguments must be placed in the correct order, and template is a mixture of format codes with placeholders for the arguments. Basically, format method takes any number of parameters but is divided into two major types of parameters. One is positional parameters, which is a list of parameters that can be accessed with the index of parameter inside curly braces through the concept of index, and the keyword parameters, which is basically a list of parameters of type key value that can be accessed with the key of parameter inside curly braces. So the format method returns the formatted string. Now let's understand how string format method works. The format method reads the type of arguments passed to it and formats it according to the format codes defined in the string. Now we have understood there are two different types of parameters that are supported for format method. Firstly, let's understand how to use format method using positional arguments. This is an example for format method using positional arguments. Let's understand how this particular example works. Here, John and the floating point number 123.12345 are argument 0 and argument 1 respectively. In this example, I have used the string directly. Instead of using the string directly, we can save the format string in the variable. We can use the variable instead of directly using the string. Now let's understand what are the different components that are associated in this example. Since format is string method, it is applicable to only string object. Here, as I have already said, argument 0 is a string which is John, and argument 1 is a floating point number that is 123.12345. Argument list starts from 0 in Python, since whatever the arguments that we are passing to a function will be sent in the form of a tuple. Since tuple supports 0 indexing, argument listing starts from 0. Here this is a template string. Instead of directly using the template string, we can save this template string into a variable and we can call the format method using the variable as well. As we can see in this example, this contains the format codes for formatting. The curly braces are just placeholders for the arguments to be passed. In this example, this placeholder is for John because inside the placeholder, the 0 is mentioned. 0 represents argument 0. And in this case, since the placeholder is starting with the number 1 in this example represents argument 1. Since the template string references format arguments as placeholder with an index, The arguments are positional arguments. They both can also be referred without the numbers as well. If the numbers are not mentioned, Python internally converts them into numbers. Here in this example, since index is not mentioned inside the curly braces, that is inside the placeholders, so internally it assumes that it belongs to a specific number. So it starts from the 0 index till the last index of the total number of arguments passed in the format method. As we can see in this example, since we have not mentioned the index numbers inside the curly braces, internally Python converts them to numbers. Now let's understand how internally the Python interprets the template string. Here in this example, since John is the 0th argument, it is placed in place of this particular placeholder. Here 0 represents to which format argument it is referring to. Since this particular placeholder does not contain any other format codes, it does not perform any other operation, just replaces the argument 0 in this particular placeholder. However, it is not the case for first argument. Here, this particular placeholder, inside this 1 represent the placeholder referring to first argument of the format method, and it places the argument 1 in its place and performs the operation 9.3f. Here f specifies the format is dealing with a float number. If not correctly specified, it will give out an error. The part before dot, that is 9, specifies the minimum width or padding the number can take. In this case, the argument 1 is allotted a minimum of 9 places including the dot. If no alignment option is specified, it is aligned to the right of the remaining spaces, but for strings it is aligned to the left, which we will discuss in the later part. But for strings it is aligned to the left. The part after the dot, that is 3, truncates the decimal part, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to the given number. In this case 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is truncated after 3 places. The remaining numbers 1, 2, 3 is rounded off, outputting 1, 2, 3. If it is 1, 2, 3, 6, then it will round it off to 1, 2, 4. As we can see in the output, in this case, the first placeholder with the 0th index is replaced from argument 0, and the second placeholder with the index 1 is replaced with the argument 1. Since format codes is specified in the second placeholder, the floating point number is also formatted. Let's consider one more example, and this is an example for format method using keyword arguments. So we have used the same example to show the difference between keyword and positional arguments. So here, instead of just the parameters, we have used a key value for the parameters, namely name is equal to John and balance is equal to the floating point number, that is 123.12345. Since these parameters are referenced by their keys as placeholder with the key name and the placeholder with the key balance along with the format codes, they are known as keyword or named arguments. So now let's understand how internally this particular example works. Here the placeholder with the key name is replaced by the value of name, that is John. Since it does not contain any other format codes, John is just placed in this particular placeholder. But for the argument balance, this placeholder is replaced by the value 123.123, but before replacing it, like previous example, it performs 9.3f operation on it. So this outputs 123.123. The decimal part is truncated after 3 places and remaining digits are rounded off. Likewise, the total width is assigned 9, leaving 2 spaces to the left. So this is how we can use the positional arguments and keyword arguments in case of format method. So the format method allows the use of simple placeholders for formatting. Let's understand the concept with few examples. In this example, we have constructed a string with a pair of curly braces as a placeholder. The values that exist within the method are essentially the tuple data type, as I have already mentioned. And each individual value contained in the tuple can be called by its index number, which starts with the index number 0. This value will be passed through in the same place that your placeholder is positioned when you run the program. As we can see in this example, no index number is mentioned within the placeholders. Hence, first braces is assigned with the first value and the second braces is assigned with the second value, meaning the first placeholder is assigned with the first value and the second placeholder is assigned with the second value. If number of placeholders and parameters are mismatching, then Python encounters error. This will throw name error as number of placeholders and the parameters are mismatching. So this is an example with positional values. As we can see in this example, index number is mentioned within the placeholders. When index is mentioned within placeholders, then placeholder is replaced with the index value. Here 0 represents first value and 1 represents second value. As we can see in the output, first placeholder is assigned with the first value and the second placeholder is assigned with the second value. Here, this is an example with the keyword arguments, which means value is associated with specific keyword. As we can see in this example, key is mentioned within placeholders. When key is mentioned within placeholders and it corresponds to relevant value that exists within the method. Here name is key and is associated with a string value, and balance is another key associated with a float value within the method. Format method allows to include both positional and keyword values within the method. Here placeholder with a 0 corresponds to a 0th index within the method, and the placeholder with balance key corresponds to keyword associated value. In this case, the first placeholder is replaced with a string value and the second placeholder is replaced with the float value. In case of mixed values, keyword value has to always follow positional values. So in this case, this will throw an error because positional value is passed after keyword value. Now let's understand some simple number formatting using format method. Here this is an example with a default decimal format code. So D in this example represents decimal. Mentioning format code of D after first colon within the placeholder make the value to represent in decimal format. If the unsupported value is passed to the format code, then it will throw an error message. So as we can see in this example, we have used the letter D, which signifies a decimal format code. And hence, as we can see in the output, so this particular placeholder is replaced with the argument which is passed in the format method, and it is represented in the decimal format. This is an example with a default float format code. F in this example represents float. Mentioning format code of F after first colon within the placeholder make the value to represent in float format. As we can see in the output, decimal number is represented in float, and vice versa will result in value error. As we can see in this example, this will not throw an error. So the number what we are passing in the format method will be converted into float representation. Suppose if we pass a float number to the decimal format code, this will end up with an value error. As we can see in the output, this particular example have resulted into error. This is an example with binary, octal and hexadecimal format code. In this case, B represents binary, O represents octal and X represent hexadecimal. As we can see in the output, in this case, mentioning format code of B, O or X after first colon within the placeholder make the value to represent in binary, octal and hexadecimal respectively. Here in this example, all placeholders are pointing to the argument which is passed in the format method. So since all placeholder having an index 0, it is pointing to the argument 0. In this case it is 12. Since we are trying to represent them in binary, octal and hexadecimal format, as we can see in the output, the number 12 is represented in the binary format and it is replaced in the first placeholder, and the 12 is represented in the octal format and it is replaced by the second placeholder, and similarly the number 12 got converted into an hexadecimal format and it is replaced by the third placeholder. Now let's see few more examples to understand number formatting with padding for int and floats. This is an example for integer numbers with minimum width. D in this example represents decimal, and this placeholder takes an integer value and assigns minimum width of 5. Since no alignment is specified, it is aligned to the right. As we can see in the output, this produced the result with a width of 5 and aligned towards right. Width won't work for numbers longer than padding. D in this example represents decimal. In this statement, you can see the width 2, which is actually less than the width of the value 1, 2, 3, 4. So it does not take any space to the left but also does not truncate the number. As we can see in the output, this has produced the result without any padding. So this is an example with a float format code. F in this example represents float. Unlike integers, floats has both integer and decimal parts. And the minimum width defined to the number is for both parts as a whole including dot. So this particular placeholder truncates the decimal part into 3 places, rounding off the last 2 digits. And the number now 12.235 takes a width of 8 as a whole, leaving 2 places to the left. As we can see in the output, the value takes a width of 8 as a whole, leaving 2 places to the left. So this is how we can perform the padding for float numbers using the format codes. This is an example with integer numbers with minimum width filled with zeros. And this is an example with decimal format code. D in this example represents decimal. If you want to perform padding and fill the remaining places with 0, placing a 0 before the format specifier does this. It works both for integers and floats. Here these 2 placeholders have a 0 which is placed before the format specifier. In this way we can have the minimum width filled with zeros. As we can see in the output for this statements, values are printed with 0 for the width with empty values. Now let's see some more examples with number formatting for signed numbers. So this is an example with a float format code and with positive sign. F in this represents float and this will represent positive numbers with plus sign. If the number is negative, then the number representation is unaffected. As we can see in the output, positive number is represented with positive sign and negative number is unaffected. In this example, this will represent negative numbers with negative sign. If the number is negative, then the number representation is negative and positive number is not represented with positive sign. As we can see in the output, negative number is represented with negative sign and positive number is unaffected. Here in this example, this will represent positive numbers with space at the beginning. If the number is negative, then number representation is unaffected. As we can see in the output, positive number with the space at the beginning and the negative number is unaffected. We can also use the following operators for aligning when assigned a certain width to the numbers. Here this operator meaning is left aligned to the remaining space, and this operator means center aligned to the remaining space, and here this operators means right aligned to the remaining space, and equal operator forces the signed plus or minus to the leftmost position. Let's understand this with an example. So this is an example with number formatting with left, right and center alignment. In this example, formatting with a right alignment is created. Here D represents decimal formatting and value of 5 signifies total alignment spaces for string. As we can see in the output, value is formatted with a right alignment, leaving spaces to the left. Right alignment is default if no operators are mentioned in the format template. When greater than symbol is used, it will perform a right alignment. In this example, formatting with right alignment is created. As we can see in the output, parameter value is formatted with right alignment filled with zeros. When caret symbol is used, it will perform center alignment. Here, formatting with a center alignment is created. When using center alignment, length of the string leads to an uneven split of the padding characters. The extra character will be placed on the right side, as we can see in this example. In this example, so the result will leads to an uneven split of the padding characters, and hence the extra character will be placed on the right side. So when the lesser than symbol is used, it will perform left alignment. In this example, formatting with a left alignment is created. As we can see in the output, parameter value is formatted with a left alignment filled with zeros. Left alignment filled with the zeros for integer numbers can cause problems, as in this example, which returns 12,000 rather than 12. We must be very careful while choosing the format technique. In this example, formatting with center alignment is created. As we can see in the output, parameter value is formatted with center alignment. In this example, equals forces the signed plus or minus symbols to the leftmost position, as we can see in the output. Similar to numbers, string can be formatted in a similar way with format. Let's understand this with an example. So in this example, formatting with the left alignment is created. As we can see in the output, parameter value is formatted with a left alignment. In this example, the formatting with right alignment is created. As we can see in the output, the parameter value, which is a string, is formatted with the right alignment. And in this example, padding with center alignment is created. And in the output, the parameter, which is a string value, is formatted with center alignment. And finally, in this example, string padding with the center alignment and the star padding is created. As we can see in the output, parameter value, which is a string, is formatted with center alignment. So truncating strings with format method is also possible. Let's understand this with an example. In this example, this will truncate strings to 3 characters. As we can see in the output, the value is truncated to 3 characters. So the any number after the dot operator will specify the number of characters to truncate. And hence, in this example, this will truncate strings to 3 characters. In this example, this will truncate strings to 3 characters with additional padding. As we can see in the output, the value is truncated to 3 characters with a padding because the number 8 before the dot operator will specify the width of the string. Since we have mentioned 3 after the dot operator, so this will truncate the string to 3 characters. Since we have mentioned a padding character as well, this will truncate the characters with additional padding. In this example, this will truncate strings to 3 characters and performs padding addition with center alignment. So as we can see in the output, the parameter, which is a string, is truncated to 3 characters with a padding and center alignment. Here the 3 after the decimal point will tell that number of characters to truncate, and the 8 before the decimal point will tell the padding characteristics of the string, and the caret symbol will tell to align the string in the center alignment. That's all about how to format a string using the format method. Now let's understand formatting class and dictionary members using format method. Python internally uses get attribute for class members, and it uses get item lookup for dictionary members in the form of index. Let's understand formatting class numbers using format method. Here in this example, person is a class created. Here we have created an object that is the instance of the class. Once the object is created, we can use the attributes of the object using dot operator. So when we run this program, this is the output which is going to yield. Here the person object is passed as keyword argument p inside the template string. The person's name and age are accessed using dot name and dot age respectively. So that is the reason we get the following result in this example. Let's understand this with more details. What is happening here is, so we are creating an object which is passed as an argument to the string template. Here in the first placeholder, we are accessing an attribute, the name, which is associated with an object p, which is an instance of the class person. Here the name attribute is associated with the John, and hence this particular placeholder is replaced with the value John. And here in the second placeholder, we are accessing an attribute age, which is associated with an object p, which is again an instance of the class person. So age is associated with the value 30, and hence in the result, as we can see that, so this particular placeholder is replaced with the value 30. So that's all about formatting class members using format method. Now let's understand formatting dictionary members using format method. It is also possible to use a dictionary object in format method. Here we have created a dictionary with the name person. Dictionary constitutes of key value pair. Here age and name are keys, and 30 and John are values associated with the keys respectively. Here this is an example which uses a dictionary object which is passed as an argument in the format method. So when you run this program, this will yield this particular result. So let's understand how this works. Similar to the class, person dictionary is passed as a keyword argument p. So this is how the value of the key is accessed. Inside the template string, the value of the key name and age are accessed using the key indexing mechanism. Here the p is a dictionary object, and the name is a key associated with the dictionary, and there is a value which is associated with the name, that is John. Hence this particular placeholder is replaced with the value John, and in the second placeholder we are trying to access the value which is associated with the key age. Since the value of the age is 30, and this particular placeholder is replaced with the value 30, as we can see in the output. There is an easier way to format dictionaries in Python using double star syntax. This is the syntax for format dictionaries using double star syntax. Let's understand this with an example. Here I have created a dictionary with the name person, and it is having 2 items. Here in this example, I am using a double star syntax in order to format the string. Here in this example, double star is a format parameter. If you use double star syntax like this, there is no need to mention dictionary object. Instead, just mentioning braces and key inside will fetch the value associated with the key. As we can see in this example, so we have used the double star syntax and the person is a dictionary object. So when it compares with the previous example, so in the previous example, we are using a dictionary object. In this case, when we use a double star syntax, there is no need to mention a dictionary object in the placeholder. Instead, just mentioning a braces and key inside will fetch the values associated with the key, as we can see in the output. Now let's jump into the last topic, which is associated with the format method. That is how to use arguments as format codes using format method. You can also pass format codes like precision, alignment, fill character as positional or keyword arguments dynamically. So if you remember, so in our previous examples, when we are using a format codes, we are using a specific code. Example like D, which is specifying a decimal, F, which specifies a floating point number, like B binary, O octal, and X hexadecimal. And instead of using that, we can also pass format codes like precision, alignment, and what is the fill character as positional or keyword arguments. Let's understand this with an example. This is the syntax for dynamic formatting. Here, this is the value which needs to be formatted, and this is the alignment, how the value must be aligned, and this is the width for padding purpose. So this is an example which is performing formatting by passing an arguments. So when we execute this program and the following result is yielded, now let's understand how this basically works. So in the first example, Python is the positional argument is to be formatted. Likewise, fill is equal to star and align is equal to caret and width is equal to 5 are keyword arguments, which basically telling that what is the alignment, what is the width, and what is the precision that needs to be applied on the string. In the template string, these keywords are not retrieved as normal strings to be printed, but as the actual format codes fill, align, and width. The arguments replaces the corresponding named placeholders and the string Python is formatted accordingly. Likewise, in the second example, 123.236 is the positional argument and align, width, and precision are passed to the template string as format codes. As we can see in the output, so the string is formatted as per the values that are assigned to align, width, and precision respectively. So this is how we can use the format method. And the format method is the most important method anyone can encounter during the programming, because this gives you the flexibility to format the strings in the way that the development demands. So that's all about the format method. Let us know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching, and let's meet in the next video. Thank you.